Hey there, party people. Mike Shreve here. How y'all doing? This video, if you're watching this video, it's because you completed the emergency homework. The emergency homework specifically was to essentially find out what your time wasters were and then to eradicate them. And I absolutely loved everybody's contribution. I hope that many of the habits that were talked about you'll continue to pursue them. You'll continue to tweak them and adjust them, because time is the most precious and valuable thing that we have. And so what I want to do in this training as a reward for you going through that exercise and then being open and sharing with others is I actually want to give you not more productivity advice, because I think a lot of you, if all you do is continue what you learned from that experiment, you'll be more productive than most people. So we don't need more tactics and tricks to be more productive. Instead, we just need to hang on to the experience you had in this past week. Instead, what I want to do is I want to give you a profitable skill set, something that when it comes to 80-20, so right, the 80-20 rule, for those of you who maybe aren't in the No Pants Project coaching program and who haven't been necessarily beaten over the head with me repeating the 80-20 rule. Basically, it is 80% of your results come from 20% of your inputs, in this case, 20% of your skills. One of the most profitable skills that I have, and you could say it's the secret weapon that I possess, which allows me to very easily pretty much go into any marketplace, that allows me to go into any business situation, and allows me to generate results for my clients or myself very, very easily, is the skill that I want to give you right now. Now, you will be either have a big breakthrough or be wildly disappointed by what I'm going to be teaching you because of its simplicity. However, it being simple means by definition you could spend the rest of your life mastering this one little thing, and you will over time see, I would say, exponentially increasing results. Okay, so what I'm going to teach you, I've had practice of at least 10 years, maybe even more, because I moved 28 times by the time I was 18. A very volatile household. I guess that's how you could describe the way that I grew up. And because of that, I was forced to develop this skill set that I'm going to share with you. So maybe I have a little bit more experience than that, but anyone can get started with this process today. So as soon as you finish watching this video, you can go get started with this. Okay, so let's talk about this secret weapon and how it allows me to basically become a mind reader. Okay, so some of you have been in my daily emails, or you see the programs I put together, and you know there are people who post in the Facebook groups and like, oh my gosh, Mike read my mind in today's email. How did he do that? Well, it basically comes down to this. It's how do I know what to sell? Or more importantly, how do I know what to say to sell stuff? How do I know what angle is going to work? How do I know what offer to create? How do I know what thing to make that will sell, that will resonate with people, that will get people nodding their heads, yes, that's exactly what I want, without being sleazy, without being smarmy, without, resorting to tricks and all that kind of gross stuff that people do? How am I able to know what is going to work, what's going to sell in advance? Well, it all comes down to this very simple idea, and then the actual implementation of this idea. If you are a freelancer, okay, whether you're doing Expert Maker or Happy Writer or the No Pants Project, and you're creating your own superpower, regardless of what it is that you do as a service or as a product, from here on forth, if you are part of the No Pants Project program, sorry, not the program, but you're part of the No Pants Project universe, okay? So if you are receiving instruction from me, and you are saying, I'm going to follow Mike's advice and implement that advice and receive those results, I want you to fully understand that from this point forward, for the rest of your life, You are not in the business of selling a service. You're not in the business of selling a product. You're not in the business of selling videos and you're not in the service of writing or designing or anything like that. You're not in that business at all. You are in this business. You are in the pain and discomfort and the pleasure and happiness business, period. When you can drill everything you do down to those two fundamental things, pain and discomfort, pleasure and happiness, you will, by definition, put yourself in a different league as compared to everybody else who is trying to get the same clients that you are. Now let's talk about this very, very quickly. Specifically, you are in the business of moving people from their pain and discomfort to their pleasure and happiness. You're not in the business of moving yourself from pain and discomfort to pleasure and happiness. You are in the business of moving other people from pain and discomfort to pleasure and happiness. Now I want you to think about that for a second. I want you to think about what you are doing right now in the No Pants universe, your business, your service, your offerings. Are you moving people from pain and discomfort to pleasure and happiness? Are your products and services created, designed around pain and discomfort of other people, of other humans? And is the end result of your program or service or product or whatever it is you're doing, is it geared around pleasure and happiness? More specifically, can you name the pain and discomfort that you are solving? Can you name and identify pleasure and happiness? More importantly still, can you paint the picture, and we'll talk about that here in a second, can you paint the picture of the pain and the discomfort that your prospect, the people who you want them to give you money, can you identify to them exactly the pain and discomfort that they are feeling? Can you then also paint for them the picture of the pleasure and happiness that they will experience? And more importantly, are you trying to solve a small pain and deliver a small bit of pleasure? Because if so, that directly affects the profitability of your business. The bigger the pain and the bigger the pleasure, the bigger your profits. Okay? So empathy, being able to empathize with individuals is, and you'll see this later on in one of the slides, the most profitable skill that you can develop. If you are living within the No Pants universe and doing anything that we are suggesting. So Happy Writer, can you identify the pain and discomfort of your reader? And is your blog post title, your blog post title, the blog post idea, is the purpose of the blog, is it delivering big enough pleasure and happiness directly correlated to the pain and discomfort? If so, then guess what? That blog post is going to go crazy. It's going to generate tons of traffic. It's going to get people to either you're doing Happy Writer for yourself or you're doing Happy Writer for your clients. It's going to build the kind of traffic that we talk about. Expert Maker, your program, is it solving a big pain or is it solving a little pain? Is it promising big pleasure and happiness or small pleasure and happiness? The bigger the pain, the bigger the pleasure, the more likely they'll pay you $1,000 to solve that pain to get that pleasure. Those of you in the No Pants Project coaching program, is your appetizer to main course to dessert, are those ever increasing pain and discomfort to pleasure and happiness steps? Your appetizer, it's only $97. It only needs to be a tiny little pain. The main course, a little bit bigger, bigger results, bigger happiness. A dessert, let's solve a big pain and let's deliver big pleasure and happiness. Now, you can use this very simple but profound tool to create products and services. But this is also the tool that you use to sell those services. And by what I mean by selling is ultimately what's called messaging, okay? So one of the real secret weapon that I have is not that I'm a good copywriter. It's not even that I'm a good product creator. It's not that I know how to create audiences. No. It's about messaging. It's about being able to paint the picture of their pain and their pleasure and happiness. In other words, it's the ability to communicate to strangers on the interwebs that I understand and have identified their pain, and that I have a solution which is exactly the pleasure and happiness that they desire. So let me give you an example here. So a lot of people, when they're writing sales copy, they're creating messaging, they will say, "Are you stressed out by your bills?" And look, that's decent copy. Some of the copy that I've written, so some of you who are in the 45-day challenge, that's like my first draft copy. I write like that in my first draft. Some of my daily emails when I'm feeling lazy and I really don't want to do anything, that's the kind of copy I write. It works, but you know what works better? Instead of saying, "Are you stressed out by your bills?" you say something like this. "I remember one night when my newborn son was still struggling to sleep." Okay. He's a very colicky sleeper. He would scream for hours and hours. It was crazy. We got hardly any sleep. And this was at a time in my business where things were really starting to go on. And there's a lot of stress. And so I think a lot of my son's colickiness was probably a result of us parents being so stressed. And even to this day, I live with that guilt that I contributed to my son potentially having unhealthy sleeping habits when he's very, very first born. And I remember one night, I picked him up because it was crazy, screaming. And it was after a day where I had this product launch and it completely failed. And not only did it fail, but it failed in such a way where, I had really made a big mistake and I had upset one of my partners, and the result of that was that I had to pay my partner a bunch of money, literally every penny we had left. I kind of got kicked out of this little circle because basically what happened, I'd overpromised and I wasn't able to hit the deadline because ironically my son had kind of gone through this health issue. Anyways, not his fault, completely my fault. But it was a series of bad, really intense events that all culminated to basically a few years after I had, started making good money, I lost everything. I mean, we were on the verge of losing our apartment. And I remember picking my son up and he was screaming at 2:00 in the morning, and I lost it. I mean, when I say I cried, I was like uncontrollable to where I almost couldn't hold my son. And here I am holding this thing that my wife and I had created. And I felt completely disconnected from everything. It was very much like, what's the point? Why am I even here? So everything that I just did, everything that I just told you in that story, which is a true story, by the way, that is painting the picture of pain and discomfort one brushstroke at a time. It is a more vivid, intense, and real experience for the person who is consuming that messaging, in this case you, versus, "Are you stressed by your bills?" Okay? This is the kind of copy that can make you a lot of money. Right? If you create products and services based off pain and discomfort and how much pleasure and happiness you're going to bring to them, and then you can communicate like this. And look, this isn't hard. This isn't good writing. This isn't good storytelling. This is me simply painting the picture instead of just telling them. It's show versus tell. Okay, let me give you another example. Pleasure and happiness. Now I live the freelance writer lifestyle. That's what a lot of people do. It's my first draft copy. Go look at the first draft copy I've got up for the 45-day writer and the 7-day and all that kind of stuff. This is how you do a better job. This weekend, taking my wife and my kids to the cabin that we own near Sisters, Oregon. It's in a place called Camp Sherman. And I bought that cabin the second year I was freelancing. It was the second, it was like really it was the first full year where I was making more than $100,000. And, I was like, I got this money. I'm going to fulfill a dream. We're going to buy this cabin. By the way, for those of you who are wondering, it's more like a timeshare than like a full-blown cabin. But, we bought into this timeshare. We bought this cabin, and it was always a dream of mine since I was a kid. My grandpa took me out to the Orm School of Arizona, and we would go every summer, and he was a teacher there, and we'd kind of be his assistant, and we got to play in the woods, and I'd always wanted a place of my own in the woods. And, this weekend we're going to go spend 4 days there. There's going to be no internet, no phone reception, no distractions. I'm completely stepping away from everything. I'm just going to play in the river with my son. We might go fishing. We might go kayaking. It's going to be a restorative 4 days where I will be able to connect with the people that I love. And I'm not going to be thinking about my business. I'm not going to be thinking about money. I'll be making money while I'm on this vacation. I'll literally be making probably between $1,500 and $2,500 per day in profit while I'm on vacation, completely disconnected from the internet. And I'll be truly turned off, truly disconnected, and I'll be there only to enjoy my family. We're going to watch the meteor shower. We're going to cook some stuff on the barbecue. We're going to relax. We're going to play board games. I'm super, super excited. Now, this is all possible because I've set up my... Okay, so that is an example of painting the picture of the pleasure and happiness that you're going to deliver. Now, again, it doesn't have to be story-based, okay? It doesn't have to be your story. It's a little bit more effective if it is, but you could tell the stories of your students. You could tell the stories of other people. You could also just say, here's what your life will look like. You'll wake up, the sun will be shining, it'll hit your face. You'll sit at your computer. The computer won't even be on. You'll just be at your desk. You'll take out a pencil. You take out a paper. You'll write down some ideas. And you then by 11 o'clock, you'll be able to take the rest of the day off. You paint the picture of the pleasure and happiness that you are going to deliver. Now, think about this, you guys. What this means by definition is you must understand at a deep level the pain and discomfort that you are taking people out of and the pleasure and happiness that you are delivering. This is why I talk about in the No Pants Project program, we call this the client outcome arc, knowing the state A to the state B, getting detailed about that state A that someone's in, getting detailed about that state B. In Expert Maker, this is where we talk about that perfect customer, understanding who that is and where we're taking them. In the Happy Writer, it's all about knowing your audience, knowing who it is that's going to be. This is a part that most people in the world of selling things and marketing things and advertising things, they completely skip. They just skip it because they think, no, what I need to do is I really need to focus on the benefits of what I do. I just need to come up with 100 things of why my thing is awesome. It couldn't be further from the truth, my friends. If you want to be a scammy, gross salesperson, that's what you do. You focus just on the benefits. And you say, here's why you should buy, 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 here's why you should buy. But instead, focusing on pain to pleasure, it means that you're having an actual connected experience with the people who are receiving your messages. It's why I get the response to my emails that I get. It's not by accident that this happens. And we'll actually walk through one of the emails here in a second to sort of show you that. Okay. Now, if we're talking about messaging, okay, because look, what I want to do is I want to make sure that I give you the entire sort of scope of the secret weapon here. So first off, I know what to sell because I really think about pain and pleasure, and I understand that the bigger the pain I can solve, the bigger the pleasure that I deliver, the bigger my financial rewards will be, meaning the more sales of a thing I will get. how I communicate that in a way that people will actually buy it is messaging. It's painting the picture, okay? But there's another element here, and it's media, okay? One thing that I have done well with in my career, not necessarily with the No Pants Project, but certainly in my career, is a drip approach to messaging through multiple media. And here's what I mean. The media you use is not nearly as important as the messaging. So I use emails, I use daily emails, we use social posts and blog articles and workshops and YouTube videos and all of these different things with my clients. And we do it a little bit with the No Pants Project, but for me it's more sort of a time issue than anything, than necessarily an actual choice. It's about sending that message to people in ways that they consume messages. So it's about dripping this message, because people, bless them, are kind of dense, okay? People are, for the most part, and I include myself in that as one of the most dense human beings who has ever lived, they need to hear the same thing again and again and again and again. You may have heard the expression, sales is in the follow-up. What they mean by that is that people don't buy the first time they hear something. They need to hear it again and again and again and again. So when you can implement messaging in various different ways, those of you who are an expert maker, you're using emails and workshops. Those of you who are in Happy Writer, you're using blog articles, and then if you help your client with their social posts. Those of you who are in the No Pants Project coaching program, you're using emails because that's really all you need, right? And you will, and those of you who do open a Facebook group, for those of you who are in the No Pants Project, those of you who do open your own Facebook group, it would be a mixture of these things, so emails and social posts, to drip, to get the same messaging over and over and over and over again. Okay? So it all starts here. Pain and discomfort, pleasure and happiness. Remember, that's the business that you are in. By definition, therefore, that means that if you want to be very, very, very good at this and live the results of being very, very good at this, which includes more money than you can spend, and that's not an exaggeration. You could spend it if you wanted to go buy Lamborghinis and overpriced houses, but if you're a reasonable person, it's the kind of money where you start to think, what should I do to invest this? I have so much left over, or enough left over. To be able to work with people who respect you. You want to know why clients respect me? Because I talk about their pain and their discomfort as if it were my own. And I talk about their pleasure and their happiness as if it were my own. That's how you get respect, is through empathy. And so when you can understand the pain and discomfort of your clients and the pleasure and happiness of their clients, that's why they respect you. That's why when they buy from you, they say, look, do whatever you need to do. You clearly get this. Let me give you room to do what you need to do. If you want to be able to make an impact on someone's life, you don't make an impact by showing up to someone's door and saying, and shoving something down their throat and saying, this is what I want to do, so there, you have to deal with it. That's not how you impact people. You impact people by starting where they're at, in their pain and discomfort, and moving them to their pleasure and happiness. And being able to walk them through that process in order to do so. Again, Expert Maker, you do it with a signature program. Happy Writer, you do it with blog posts to help them go from pain to pleasure. And then once you do that, you shuttle them into a lead magnet or a lighthouse or some giveaway of some sort to help build your client's business. Those of you in the No Pants Project program, you create your whole client outcome arc just on this pain, discomfort, pleasure, and happiness. Left to right movement. State A to state B. Right? So, those of you who are doing Fast Client Getting Workshop and you're getting on those discovery calls, it's all about getting on the call, having the conversation about their pain and discomfort. and then painting for them a picture of pleasure and happiness. It's not about forcing a sale. It's about having this left to right experience on a little 20-minute call. All right, so in order to be very, very good at this, you need to become a student of pain and obsess about the human condition. One of my favorite quotes, and I wish I could remember who told it to me, and I keep saying that, like every time I say this quote, I keep saying I need to figure it out, and then I never actually go do, but it's this simple. If you walk around assuming that everybody's having a hard time, you're going to be right 100% of the time. What I obsess over as a person is the human condition. Why do people have the pains and discomforts that they have? Why do we have the problems that we have? What do people want? What motivates them? Why do people make these kinds of decisions? Why don't they make the kinds of decisions that seem more logical? Or why don't they make the kinds of decisions that would be better for them? What's holding them back? Why are they stuck? When you become a student of pain, to understand why people experience it, where it comes from, and then you start to obsess about the human condition, this process is natural. It becomes a habit. You see their pain and discomfort in the posts they make in a Facebook group. When I see you guys posting stuff, I can read between the lines. Not because I'm some guru, but because I've been doing this for a decade of looking at pain and discomfort. I see the same comments, the same messages, the same responses over and over and over again. For 10 years, I can read between the lines. When you can get to that point, it's like it's like the Matrix, right? Where all of a sudden, reality is, you can sort of like manipulate your own reality because you see what's actually going on out there. So becoming a student of pain and obsessing about the human condition. Now here's some books to read. One is The 5 Love Languages. And you may go, what the heck is the 5 love languages? Figure out what makes people tick. Figure out what pleasure and happiness is for people. Understand it's not the same for everyone, which is why it's important that you know who you're serving. Because if you go after this one group and you're talking about something that they don't care about, you're not serving them. Emotional Intelligence by Daniel Goleman. You guys, I love logic. I thought I was going to grow up to be a mathematician, and that's not a joke. My grandpa was a physics teacher for 40 plus years, retired twice, and then kept teaching. He's still teaching today at a middle school just part-time. He was my biggest hero. I thought, I'm going to spend my life in logic. And then I realized and I learned human beings aren't logical. Even logical human beings aren't logical. They say they're logical, they use logic from time to time, but they still are, at their core, emotional human beings. And developing emotional IQ, the ability to understand emotions, is a powerful tool for navigating a world which is mostly created and run by emotional beings. If you want the tools, the keys to the kingdom, you want to figure out, how do I operate in this big old world of people? Emotional intelligence. The groundbreaking book that redefines what it means to be smart, that's a pretty darn good subheadline, and it's pretty darn accurate. Highly, highly recommend that book. Another one, The Social Animal by David Brooks. It's the hidden sources of love and character and achievement and all these sorts of things. This is a more research-backed version of emotional intelligence. It's basically a look at what makes people tick. And to understand that it's people who are going to be giving you money. So you might as well learn what makes them tick so that you can help them get from A to B, A to Z, A to Z if you're English. Daniel H. Pink wrote a really good book called Drive. It's a surprising truth about what motivates us. Most people think they know what motivates them, and most people don't reach their goals. So it seems to me that what you think motivation is probably isn't true. Right? So understanding what actually motivates people, becoming a student of pain. Why do people remain in pain? What is it about motivation that keeps people in pain? If you can understand that, you can create offers to help people get out of their pain. And you will get results, which if you're part of the No Pants universe, my dear friend, I want you to make as much money as possible, but the only way you will ever make money is if you give people results. So understanding what motivates them, understanding what makes them tick, understanding how they operate. Awaken the giant within. This is just a beautiful explanation of mindset. It is, there's parts of it that it's Tony Robbins, so there's the Tony Robbins stuff in there. But where do beliefs come from? How are beliefs formed? How are beliefs changed? What about habits? What about motivation? It's just a very good book on the human condition. Why people do what they do. And why do you care? Because you need to know how to get them from pain and discomfort to pleasure and happiness. You need to know what their pain and discomfort is, what their pleasure and happiness is. You have to become a student of the human condition. Oh, what's this? Is this fiction? Why, yes it is, my good friends. Read the book Flowers for Algernon by Daniel Keyes. It's a book that every time I read it, I bawl. It's one of the best books I've personally ever read. It's a book about somebody who is, you could say, mentally handicapped, who is restored. I guess that's one way you could say it, restored. The book calls it basically restoration, but it's this idea of they have a low IQ, and then they have a regular IQ, and then they basically go back to having the lower IQ. And it's the entire emotional cycle of that process. If you want to see inside of a human mind, read this book. Yeah, it's so good. Not necessarily the Cider House Rules, but good fiction. Turns out study after study has confirmed that reading fiction, not watching fiction, we'll talk about that in a second, reading fiction increases your empathy. And remember, my friends, empathy is one of the most profitable skills you can ever develop as a freelancer, as a happy writer, as an expert maker. Anything we teach in the No Pants universe, it is empathy that will get you paid, basically. I mean, for lack of a better phrase, empathy is what gets you paid. So read stuff by John Irving. Read the Cider House Rules. Read the mental struggle and the choices those people had to make and the pain they experienced. It is a look into the window of the human condition. Read literature. Watch dramas. Oh, I was going to say, reading versus watching. So, most novels, with some exceptions, are written to explore the internal side of the story. So it's not just this happened, that happened, this happened, that happened. A good novel is this happened and here's what he thought. This happened, here's what she felt. That's what a good novel is. Watching shows, watching TV, it's good, it's better than nothing, but television and movies are restricted in that you can't actually get inside of the mind of the character. There are some movies which get really dang close, and there are some very emotional moments, but it's not the same as good fiction. And when I say read literature, I don't mean just literature in the sort of genre sense. Read some Stephen King, read some science fiction, read some murder mysteries. Just read fiction to get into the mind of characters. Good fiction, good writers who are good fiction writers are very good at understanding and sharing the human condition with others. So become a student of pain and obsess about the human condition. And more than anything, empathy will make you a ton of money. I know that sounds gross to some people. Like, what does empathy have to do with making a bunch of money? To be honest, I don't even know what to tell you if that's what you think. Because when you are creating products and services out of empathy, the amount of money you earn is a eensy-weensy tiny fraction compared to the actual value that you deliver. So there's a rule that I tell people. It's a 10 times rule. If you pay me $1, I want to make sure that you've gotten at least $10 worth of value. And it begins with empathy. It begins with understanding, how can I deliver that $10 of value by knowing what your big pains are, and by knowing the big pleasure and happiness that you want to move to. And then my job is not to create those or to manufacture those pains and those pleasures, but my job is to create a solution that will help you move from that pain to that pleasure. My job, in essence, is to get out of the way and to say, look, I understand that this is your pain, and I understand that this is where you want to go, and you're having a hard time getting there. So what I've created is this service that will take you from there to there. Is this signature program that will take you from there to there? Is this blog post article that will take you from there to there? And once you can do that, and you can do it consistently, and trust me, it's not always easy to do, you will have an endless supply of work, of opportunity, of people who trust you and like you and want to give you money. It all starts with empathy. Now, I want to give you an example of this in action, and that's what we'll close with. This was an email that I sent back on June 13th, and it was an email that got a lot of really, really good response, and I want to talk with you about this and how I used pain pleasure. Okay, so this is a daily email I sent to the No Pants Project. What I've done is I've taken this pain, which is people feeling stuck. Okay? People feeling stuck. People feeling assaulted by their stuckness. And we'll talk about assaulted by their stuckness. Okay? This entire email is about that, and it's about showing a way out of that pain. And that's why I believe this email did so well. So we basically start out, yesterday during a private one-on-one mentorship student, blah, 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 10-minute daily routine, my embarrassing 10-minute daily routine. So, question. What's stopping you from quitting your job right this second and replacing your income plus more by Friday? Look, what am I doing here? What's stopping you from getting your pleasure and happiness? See, I'm just talking about pain and discomfort, pleasure and happiness. What's stopping you? Well, I can tell you it's not technical knowledge. See, I'm stepping in here. I'm this now. I'm saying, look, I'm going to tell you. Okay? I'm going to tell you how to get from here to here. And now people are listening. That's what people love to listen to. They love to listen. How do I get out of this stuff I hate and into stuff I like? It's not technical knowledge. Here's how you do it. Go get a library card. Go to our open group. And all the technical knowledge is there that you could ever want. Okay? This is clearly not what is holding you back. Okay? Now there's something else that happened here. Technical knowledge, I know from our audience, is something that a lot of them feel they already have. So the pain that some of them are feeling, the discomfort that some of them are feeling, is that they have technical knowledge, yet they don't know how to turn it into the pleasure and happiness that they desire. So I'm simply saying, look, it's not the technical knowledge. I agree with you. You have tried all of this already. You have the technical knowledge. And you're like, yes, you're describing my pain and my discomfort right now. That's not what's holding you back. It's not money either. I started my freelancing business while homeless. Here's a list of free things you can do to get clients today. So this one's a little bit different because I'm saying it's not money, right? This one, I'm agreeing with them. It's not technical knowledge. Look, you know everything. It's all good. And they're like, yeah, I do know all that, but still, it's not money either. This is where I'm stepping in and I'm really saying it's time to listen to me now, because your old ideas of what you thought was the pathway to get to pleasure and happiness, they're probably wrong. Here's a list of free things you can do. Boom, 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 boom. Money clearly isn't the issue. Do you know what is? It's your self-confidence. It's your self-belief. You can have all the knowledge in the world and all the money in the world, but if you still don't believe in yourself or have confidence and belief in the direction you're headed, not only are you going to stay stuck, but you'll lose all the money and knowledge as a byproduct of inaction. Now, what's happening right here? What's happening right here is I'm touching on a deep pain, and I'm asking them to experience the discomfort in this email. The pain and discomfort that I know my audience has because I am an obsessive student of pain. I know one of my clients, her entire world was helping people with self-confidence and self-belief. So I know that that's a real thing. And so I'm speaking directly to that pain. I'm saying, look, you know what the real problem is? It's your confidence. It's your self-belief. And I say, okay, look, I've seen it many, many times. The problem is that self-confidence and belief is fragile. And I'm having empathy with them. I'm not coming across as, it's your confidence and you're stuck forever because guess what? If you don't, if you're born, you have to be empathetic. And I call out a point to be empathetic towards them, towards my audience. I say, look, the world is literally designed to destroy your self-confidence and belief. You ever seen a commercial? Some studies suggest that we experience 5,000 commercials a day. And 5,000 times a day you are told you aren't enough as you are. I'm talking about pain. I'm talking about discomfort. I'm calling it out. I'm saying, look, the reason you don't feel like you are enough is because this thing is happening. And you're crazy if you think you aren't affected by that kind of barrage on a daily basis. This is why you're stuck. So it's not about brains. It's about your belief. If you believe it will happen, you take action, etc., etc., etc. And then I just offer a few tools. So again, this is just an issue of media. Because it's an email, I'm offering some tools. If this was a sales letter, I would say, I have the answer behind the buy button down there. Click that buy button and I'll give you the answer. In this case, in the email, I'm giving the answer here. And now I'm sharing with them, and I did it a little bit here in the sort of the delivery of the solution, but more so I started down here. I'm now talking about pleasure and happiness. That's it. That's my 10-minute routine that's responsible for 90% of my income. Now, those who are on my list know sort of what my income is, that it's, it's better than average. And so to say the pleasure and happiness that you desire, which is probably similar to my income levels, here's how I get 90% of it. I'm directly connecting overcoming this pain and discomfort to the pleasure and happiness that I experience. And it's probably worth more. If I didn't do it every single day, okay, if I didn't do this thing that got me my pleasure and happiness, I would be like a tiny sailboat in the middle of a raging storm, being tossed to and fro by the 5,000 commercial messages I receive every day, etc., etc. You can spend your whole life chasing dead ends simply because you have low confidence. And then I connect it to the no pants, and I say literally, like, if you want to overcome this pain and this discomfort, here's a solution that I provided for you. If you want to get to the happiness, get to the income levels, get to the whatever it is that you're interested in, here's a solution that I've created for you. We have 8 coaches inside. They're all knowledge experience, but they're mostly, there to support your, what we started off with here, self-confidence, self-belief. So this is just an example. Look, when you're doing daily emails, you're not going to hit it every single day. Heaven knows I certainly don't hit it every single day. Not every single one of your media messages is going to hit it every single day. That's okay, because if you follow what we teach in the No Pants universe, it's all about the drip. So you just get into the practice of pain and discomfort, pleasure and happiness. Pain and discomfort, pleasure and happiness. You try different angles. You try different methods. You try different messages. You try different pains. You try different pleasures until you find the ones that work, and then you do it again and again and again. And this is my secret weapon. It's the understanding and implementation of all of these different pieces again and again and again. So my friends, I hope that this has been a helpful training to you. Again, I want to say a massive thank you to all of you who are watching this, because if you are watching this, it is because you took it upon yourself to make yourself better by taking a good hard look at what it was exactly that was taking your time and what to do with that time. So I want to say a big massive thank you. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see all of you around.